Hey all, are you ready to play with a tool you might not have ever played with before here in Photoshop Elements? I'm anxious to see what you can do with it in various creative ways in your layout. Here's my layout, and we're going to focus on this stamp down here. Since I had a clown and a gymnast in my story, I wanted to include a little photo of them in my layout, but I didn't actually have a photo of them. And so you can see here what I've done with it. And I'm going to go ahead and hide the rest of my layout. And then we're going to have here are two stock photos that I found on the internet that kind of made me think of those people that are in my story from real life. But because they aren't actually those people, I didn't really want this lady's face here. I do remember the gymnast in my story was short and had really chunky legs. And so her body style reminds me of her. And, you know, this clown was the best I could do. It looks like a girl. I actually went back in and made this curve here in the line straight. You'll see later I'll bring that back up so it doesn't look like there's any boobs or belly there, to make it look like a girl. And I did that with the liquify and the clone tool, but this was the best I could do as far as royalty free. So I wanted to make these kind of blurred so you kind of got the image of what they were without seeing the real picture, to think that they were the real people, real life photos that I had. And so that's why I use these techniques. And what we're going to utilize is the Impressionist brush tool. Now, you're going to find it hidden as one of the subtools under this brush tool. So right click and choose Impressionist brush. Now, when we look at the options, you have the similar options to other brushes that you're already familiar with, so we won't go through them. So you can change to different brushes. You can change the size of your brush. Of course, remember hitting the brackets on the keyboard will also change your size. You can choose these blending modes, the opacity, and then if you click on this icon, you get the special settings that are not in the regular brushes. Now I want to first, before we review these, tell you what an Impressionist painting is in very basic terms. An Impressionist painting is one where you can see the brush strokes. So what this tool is supposed to do, now it is really kind of funky and doesn't really, I couldn't get it to really do what I thought it should do, but is to turn your photos into what looks like more like something that has been actually painted, where you can see the brush strokes. And so this first option for style is what type of brush you're using, basically what brush stroke you're going to get. Are your brush strokes tight and short? Are they tight together and medium or long? Are they very loose brush strokes in medium or long, a little bitty dab of brush strokes? Or you have the options for tight and loose curls. And so those are your options under style. Now area, here it says painting area diameter. Area is the size and the number of strokes. And so you can have this anywhere from 1 to 500. And the tolerance, though, is how similar in color pixels they have to be underneath your brush before they will be affected by the brush. To actually learn what each of these do, you almost have to just dig in and play with them. So I'm going to, oops, try to just click off of that. Where are my, I'm going to go ahead and make duplicates of these for us to play with. So here's the clown one, and I want to go ahead and show you like a loose curly long. Now we're going to go ahead and bring this all the way up to 500, which is the max, and I'm going to bring that tolerance all the way down so it doesn't compare anything outside of it. And I'm going to hit down once on this clown, and you can see what let's well, I was going to bring that background up so that you can see a little bit better. So you can see these are the brush strokes that we've created. Of course, look how it made the brush strokes go all the way out into the background area. It's going to hit undo, and then let's just create a color background down here for us to work in. I'm going to change the color of it a little bit. Okay, so now you can see better what's going on as we play. Let's look at one that is tight and short, and you just hit down once. Actually, as you hold down the mouse, it keeps throwing them down, and so what it's doing is taking a sampling of wherever you're clicking down at, and it's throwing all of these out there. But you can see now what it's also done to the clown. It's made the clown look like the Impressionist brush area. So what you want to do, if you are not if you have your images on a layer instead of by a file by itself, what you're going to want to do is hold down your control key and click on the thumbnail to get the selection of it. That way when you apply this, it keeps the brush strokes in. See, I'm not even moving this around. I'm just clicking and holding down, and it's just throwing more and more and more brush strokes out there. But I'm going to take that selection away so you can kind of see what it's doing. I liked the loose long. You can see what that sort of brush stroke looks like. And you can see what it does here with the clown. Now I found that it was best, what affected things the most was the actual brush size. And so if you got this too high and you click down, whoa, look at what it did. It did the entire layout. It really made, even though my brush is only this big, look how big and long it made those brush strokes. And so what really makes a difference is using a brush stroke between 1 and maybe 12 when you're doing this. And see, now I click, and it kind of, I guess this might be a good way to make snow. So it kind of put this random things all over it. It might be a great way to even just add texture to your paper. Just play with it and use your imagination as you're doing this. I'm going to go ahead and lower that area way down so you can see what happens when we change the area. Way down to maybe under 10 somewhere. And then when we click down, you can see that it doesn't spray way out here. I only had it spraying way out here so that you could see what was actually happening. I was on the wrong layer. There. And so now you can see that the area affected is only right here on Mr. Clown's face. And so what I found to be most effective is to keep the area down and the tolerance down, and I actually used the tight ones and keep my brush small, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that selection, and then just kind of move around your photo. It may be a little bit small brush. Start with a little bit larger brush to start. Oh, that's too big. See? And then I just see, your brush size really does matter. There, that's not bad. I've got it at 3. And I just simply wiggled and jiggled around on this photo until it got to be more like an Impressionist art. See, I can do that. Where's our gymnast copy? We seem to have lost it when in my undos. So I could go over here to the gymnast and do the same, and you can see how it's starting to make her face look, needs to be up a little bit so that it's more blurred. And that was a little too much. So we'll try 4. And so you're not actually seeing the brush strokes. It's more like a blurring technique. And so if you have a photo, like in this clown photo where you have people in the background, but you want to be able to tell there's still people in the background, you could even use that in your photos. We've done this in other techniques throughout the lesson where we've used like the Gaussian blur to blur out the people in the background. So you could actually use this tool in order to do that. I can see this tool being used to, I don't like what that just did to her face, but since I'm playing, you can use this tool to maybe make stickers for your page. Maybe you might want to put a little metal rim around a circular one to make a tag to accent your page. I don't like how this gymnast is turning out, but I'll go back to the clown. What I had done after I did it with a larger brush, I went back with a smaller brush and went over it again. But I can see, lots of various possibilities. I even thought about utilizing this on a background photo, making one of my photos the background photo and applying this effect to it so that it would have been in the background. Turn that layer off. That's an extra layer. And so here's what I did, but I had to play with it a while. And so you can see now it's, you can still see the shape of them. You can see how I straighten this out in the middle. So my clown didn't look like a girl, since my clown in my story is a guy. And so that's basically what I did with it, was to find stock photos to accent my layout. But there are so many possibilities that you can utilize. You might want to, I thought about taking the leaves in the background of this photo. Like, I was squinting in the sun. And my hair actually looked a lot better there than it does now. My hair won't do that anymore. But I actually thought about enlarging this photo in the background and making the leaves the Impressionist, using the Impressionist tool on the leaves and having that as my background in the photo. I could have even cloned over myself before I did that, and that might have been pretty cool. See, let's go look at that. Let's unlock that layer, bring it down here. I'll show you what I'm talking about, a little bit of an idea. And I'm gonna, oops, get that out of there. And I'm going to take my clone tool actually and clone over, whoops, let's do this so we don't clone over myself, make myself disappear. And then take that. This is just an idea I had, and I'm kind of curious if this would have been better than the background paper I chose. Of course, I'm using a very small photo. It wasn't this small when I started out, though. It was much larger, and I would go back and get the original size instead of playing with this. And so I could have done this and then grabbed my Impressionist tool and make my brush a little bigger and gone in, not that quite that big, and made the leaves an Impressionist leaf. Like that, kind of blurring it up. I actually had this idea and never played with it, so I'm going in here, whoops, to see what it would have looked like. And so that gives you a quick idea of something else that you could have done with it. I kind of like my background paper better, but that would have worked too. So go in there, use your imagination, and have fun with this tool. And oh, I do want to mention one more thing I forgot. I understand that if you have the two photos, let's get rid of all this stuff. One more thing, because I forgot. If you have my clown photo on top of my clown photo, and I reduce the opacity on the top one, that when I go in here, it actually will utilize some of the stuff from underneath the two photos. So stacking the two photos, when you do this stuff and when you play with the blending, will also make a difference. I couldn't tell quite what it did, but it supposedly does something, and I wanted to mention that to you. So anyway, have fun with it and just play till you get something really cool.